NASCAR Goodyear 400 on the way, and who better to discuss that with than Pearce, Dietrich, and I guess also Geoff Ulrich. We'll find out. Adam Kaufman here with you. Thanks for being with us. Sweat continues on till about noon Eastern time, guys. We're going to get to NASCAR DFS Sportsbook as well, obviously. And let's take a look. Geoff, we'll let you go first here. Head-to-head between you two guys. Pearce has really been running the show at this point. The guys in the top price range, who's your favorite DFS pick over 10K?
Okay, well, last week may have been a bit of a wash, but we're gonna make up for it this week. I think you got to go to Denny Hamlin here. It's been a little bit of a rocky season for Denny in a lot of ways. He's dealing with stuff off the track, so to speak, as we say in NASCAR as well. But he's coming to Darlington. I think he puts all that stuff behind him this week, and I think he pops off for a big race. He's won 4 times at this track. He's got an average finish of like 7th here over a bunch of races. So. I mean, we talk about horses for courses in golf, tracks for guys who drive cars here in NASCAR, and Denny Hamlin, this is his track. I really do think that you're getting him a little bit undervalued here as well, just because of the bad, the bad history, or just the bad recent form, we should say, in the finishing positions. But you look at what he's done at this event, and just overall, I mean, I think him coming in with a little bit of negative sentiment. I'll take the 10,300 on him. This hasn't been the greatest track for a guy like Chase Elliott either, who's coming off a win. Has been the better driver, but I think Denny Hamlin is where you start at over 10K.
Pierce, I got to say, tracks for guys who drive cars, it's not catchy.
Yeah, I don't know. There's really not much catchy in NASCAR, to be honest with you. We try to sell it as best as we can.
There you go.
And Geoff's doing a great job so far, but I'll go with Kyle Larson as the guy at Darlington. He was always good at Darlington throughout. I know I pick Kyle Larson every week, but that's because he is basically the Michael Jordan of NASCAR. He was last season. He continues to be. And if you fade him, you do so at your own peril. I know it didn't work out last week, but he spun out at Dover. He went down to 31st place. He was still able to rally and finish 6th at a track where you couldn't pass. It's just, again, another testament to how good of a race car driver he is. Last spring at Darlington, he had a speeding penalty at the end of stage 1, put him at the back of the field at a race where no one could pass anyone, and yet he still found a way to get back up to 2nd place by the end of the race. Last year, he had the best car. He just couldn't quite make the last move at the end of the race. He scored the most fantasy points. He's always been awesome at Darlington. Now that he's in a Hendrick car, he's even that much better. It's just, at this point, almost crazy to bet against Kyle Larson.
All right, let's drop down a bit salary-wise, Pearce, and stay with you. How about the 8 to 10K range?
Ross Chastain, years ago, a year ago, he was in the 6K range. Now he's almost $10,000. Most people see that and say, I don't believe it. It's Ross Chastain. Well, he has developed quickly or rapidly. He is a completely different driver. Maybe it's the new next-gen car. Maybe it's the leveling of the field with all of the new equipment that's being unrolled. Maybe it's all these different racetracks that they're at every single week. But the thing is, at all the different racetracks that they have been at, from dirt tracks to road courses, big ovals, small ovals, low wear, high wear, he's been good every single week. And he was good at Darlington last year. He was good at Dover last week. And the big kicker with Ross Chastain is his pit crew. It's the fastest. This is a track where it's hard to pass. If you want to gain spots, you should do it on pit road. And that's what he's been doing all season. Ross Chastain, he's going to go overlooked and underappreciated, but he is a top-tier driver now.
Geoff, give us someone in that 8 to 10K range, ideally someone who's not, dealing with something off the track.
Yeah, well, I think all these guys are dealing with stuff off the track. I mean, I know. Look, I don't know about if Ross Chastain is going to go like overlooked anymore. I mean, he's just like a kind of a top 5 machine. So I am with Pearce, unfortunately, on that one. I can't say anything there. Chris Bell is probably a good value at 8,300, but I'm going to go back to the guy who let me down big time last week, Joey Logano. This is a pretty good track for him. 3 top 10s in fairly recently. He's got just a good average, run position here as well. So I think Joey Logano is a driver too, who gets on, the social media and he took ownership for his troubles last week. And if you look at his results too, like he's had a couple bad races in a row this year, but what has he done? He's bounced back with good races. So I think 9,200, I think Logano is probably the guy who may get overlooked because people just don't want to just say, well, he's not driving well. I think that's not really the case. He just had a little bit of, weird things go wrong last week. This has been a good track for him at Darlington. 9,200. That to me, it looks like a guy in bigger fields. You should be getting back on here. And it wouldn't shock me at all if he produced the top 5 or something this week.
What's your favorite value play?
Yeah, I mean, I got a couple value plays here. I went deep this week. Okay, I'm bringing it. Eric Jones,
Great.
7,700. This guy, talk about tracks for guys who drive cars. Eric Jones, 6 top 10s, 3 top 5s, and a win in Darlington. This guy's been very, very good recently too. Like, he's been in the mix, producing some pretty good DraftKings scores as well. 49 points last week, 54 the week before. Eric Jones at 7,700, definitely a driver. I was about to say player, a driver you're going to want to have an eye on. Then Justin Haley at 5,900. He's been in the mix lately too. You look at what he was doing last week, led for 19 laps. He was right in there. I think Justin Haley is a very good long shot bet too. And then I'm going to throw Kurt Busch as well. Another driver who just has a really good track record here. Kurt Busch at 7,300, another value, and perhaps like in like the matchups and the group betting, a driver you can take a look at on the DraftKings Sportsbook too.
Listen, these are athletes. This is their sport. I don't think we're offending them by calling them players, but yes, driver, proper designation. Pearce, value.
Yeah, I can get on board with Kurt Busch and Justin Haley, but do not play Eric Jones. Eric Jones accumulated those stats when he was racing for Joe Gibbs Racing, which is a top-tier team. He is now with Richard Petty Motorsports, and last year with Richard Petty Motorsports finished 32nd and 18th, I believe. So ignore the track history for Eric Jones. The guy I want to go with has good track history recently at this track, and that is Corey LaJoie at 4,900. He finished 15th last year in the grueling, challenging Southern 500. This is a high tire wear track, and guys that can manage their tires can do well, and we've seen Corey LaJoie do that. He also got a top 15 last week. He's trending in the right direction. 4,900, it's just way too cheap. This is a pricing error from my standpoint.
All right, unfortunately for Geoff anyway, Pearce is pretty much lapping him in the standings of our head-to-head. So this right here, Geoff, this is the pick that matters. We need the best DFS play for you at Darlington.
You know what? This is too tempting to do it. Pearce just spat on my guy. I'm going to take Eric Jones at 7,700. I don't think that matters at all. He's been driving well. Doesn't matter what team he's on. Joe Gibbs, Bill Belichick. I don't care. Taking Eric Jones, 7,700.
All right. Well, time to extend the lead here, Pearce. Who do you think?
No, I really just feel like just not picking someone because this is going to get ugly, but the equipment does matter. It absolutely matters. It is not a fair sport. The team absolutely is a big deal. Eric Jones is a great race car driver. He is, but he's just not in the best equipment. I'll take the best race car driver in the best equipment, and it's Kyle Larson. And I've got to imagine by the end of this week, Geoff's going to be lapped. You just got to play, and there's just no reason not to take Kyle Larson and what he has done at Darlington in the past and what he continues to do every single week. There's just nothing that needs to be said.
Well, we're going to say a little bit more about Kyle Larson before we go here, Pearce, because he's plus 500, the favorite to win this thing. You got Martin Truex at plus 700. What are the odds that your favorite to win here on the DraftKings Sportsbook actually comes through?
There's a good shot, and even throwing in Denny Hamlin, who Geoff mentioned earlier. All three of those guys are very fast. They can get out front. It's a very hard track to pass, and they can win. But my concern would be that this is a shorter race. It's not as long. At the longer Southern 500, you usually get the best cars going to win. In this shorter race, I think it comes down to pit road, and someone's going to take the lead on pit road. It's a very challenging track to pass, especially during the day, and whoever does that's going to win. So the best pit stop at the end of this race. So basically, it'd be running in the top 5, have the best pit stop, and then you win. And I think that's going to be Ross Chastain. So I would take his odds. I think he's at plus 1,200, and Chastain's going to win this.
Geoff?
I mean, I am going to bet Denny Hamlin in all seriousness at plus 800, like Pearce said. A little bit worried about just him dealing with different pit crew and stuff like that. But I think that just his track record here, and I think he is the type of guy who will just put that all behind him. I do like for top 5 bets, though, Justin Haley and Eric Jones at plus 2,500 and plus 500. You hit on one of those guys, we're in the profit. Big odds. Take the top 5 there.